All right, I'm back. Happy New Year. All right. So look, here's the thing to understand is that the halving is occurring February 25th, 26th, 2024. Okay, so a halving of the Bitcoin supply triggers a bull run because it creates a supply shock to the market. All right, look, for right now, every day there's like, I think it's 500 Bitcoin that miners all share, right? If there was one miner in the world, then that one miner would get all 500 Bitcoin. But there's like, there's like hundreds of thousands of miners, maybe a million miners in the world right now. And so all million miners have to share that 500 Bitcoin that is released every day. I think it's 500. I forget what the amount is. I should probably know that. But I think it's 500, 5 or 550 or something like that, right? So all million miners, or let's say 700,000 miners, have to share that 550 Bitcoin every day. And depending on the power of your machine, like if you got a really powerful machine, then you can mine Bitcoin faster, right? And the way it works is, okay, let's say, all right, so I'm sorry, we're gonna get into mining a little bit. So the Bitcoin algorithm for the release of Bitcoin into the market is based on the difficulty of the equations that computers are needed to solve. To put it very simply, okay, so that we can all, including myself, can understand and talk about how Bitcoin mining works. When you type in an equation into your calculator and the calculator gives you an answer, but right before that answer comes, there's like a little pause where you hit the equal sign, and then there's a little blank. It's like almost imperceptible, but there's a little blank, and then it gives you an answer. Well, Bitcoin's equation algorithm is so complex that little blank on your calculator takes roughly 7 days or more of a very high-powered computer solving this equation or series of equations in order to reach the final answer, which would cryptographically encode, a unique fingerprint of a Bitcoin, whether you broke it down or not, right? That Bitcoin can be assigned to a particular block, and that block is assigns 550 coins to a number of machines. Now, if your computer is not powerful enough to mine that much Bitcoin, like a whole Bitcoin, or solve all those equations in 7 days, then what happens is the Bitcoin blockchain assigned you a Bitcoin. It gave you a Bitcoin that you're going to mine, and you will mine that in perpetuity until you finish mining that Bitcoin, which maybe it takes you 30 days, maybe it's 60 days. I don't know how you, whatever the power of your computer is, but that's what it would do. And so all these miners are sharing Bitcoin, you know what I mean? And they're competing to try to be assigned as many Bitcoin as possible. All right. Now, these miners, they typically have bills, electric bills that they have to pay, and rent and food and other bills that all of us have, right? They typically have these bills. So when they get this Bitcoin, they have to sell some of it in order to pay for the electricity or pay for whatever bills that they got. They got to do something about it, right? And so, that's how new Bitcoin enters the marketplace on exchanges, is because these miners are selling this Bitcoin so that they can pay for the bills that they got. Okay, that's how we get Bitcoin, all right? That's how you get Bitcoin. Now, February 25th, 26th, something like that, 2024, okay, is when the supply of the Bitcoin that all the miners share gets cut in half. So today we have a market that exists where there's buyers and sellers, but every day there's 550, maybe it's not the full 550, or some days it is, or whatever, but there's 550 new Bitcoin that enter the market, right? And the way that this market of purchases and sales exists is based on a steady supply, a daily supply of 550 Bitcoin. So if it gets cut down to 250 or 275 or whatever that number is at the halving, right? Now you have a market that existed with all this bunch of new Bitcoin coming out, and now you don't have that same supply of Bitcoin. It's cut in half. This doesn't happen in any other market. Like, there's no housing market where all of a sudden, literally the next day, half the amount of houses exist on the market, or half the amount of gold exists on the market. New gold, new houses entering the market for selling, enters the market where it's totally cut in half. That doesn't happen. And because this is such a shock to the supply of the market, this causes a trigger of a bull run. At least that's what has happened in the last 3 or 4 halvings. I think it's been 4. I think this is the 5th halving now, if I'm not mistaken. No. This is the 4th halving. So the last 3 halvings, it's triggered a supply shock. And this supply shock on the marketplace causes the price to grow rapidly. Now, if you're watching this, and if you've been watching since, for a while, at least since 2020, 2021. So in 2020, you'll remember that was the last halving, and that caused Bitcoin to go from $10,000 to 80 grand. Okay. And it was actually much lower than that before. It was like at 6 and 7, 8, 9 for a while, and bounced to 12, and then came down, and it just kept going like this, like fluctuating like that. And so around the beginning of January 2020, I think Bitcoin actually was at 10 or 11 grand or something like that at the time. And then it went to 80 grand or 70 grand, sorry, during that year. And then it came back down to where it is now at 17,000, 16, 15, around those numbers, right? And so if you were in Bitcoin in 2019, you were buying it at 6, 7, 8, 9 grand. Even in early 2020, you're buying it at 10 G's. You're doing a 7X. If you bought it at 6, you were doing a 10X on Bitcoin. And not only Bitcoin, but all these other coins had so much room for growth price-wise, because it was like the market was at its rock bottom in 2019. Actually, it wasn't really rock bottom. Rock bottom was 2018, and then it hit rock bottom. And then it started to climb from there. And we're seeing this elongated drop where 2020 was a halving, 2021 it was still pretty high, and then 2022 is when it started to come down, and it took like almost 7-8 months for it to come down to now where it's at 17K, and we only have a year and a month until the next halving, which in 2018 there was 2 years until the next halving, like 2.5 years from when it hit actual price rock bottom, which was like 3,200, until it hit its new all-time high of 70K. So I say all that to say, to give you the groundwork, to lay the framework so your mind can wrap your head around this year, 2023, you should be trying as best as you can to purchase the best coins that you can get. Look, don't start trying to buy these garbage coins in 2023. I know it's so tempting because a lot of this is low and you can put $100 in and get a ridiculous amount. And if you can stomach it, like, okay, do that. But try really, really hard to just buy the blue chip coins. Bitcoin, for me, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I really think Ecomi is something, that I would get in. You have other coins, like my boy was telling me about Gala, because Gala is a video game, blockchain-based video game company that did very well before, and it can do very well still. It's still around, still kicking out games, still upgrading, still doing stuff. They didn't go anywhere. Then you got, you still got some of the classics, Cardano. You still got, what else? XRP. You still got some of these other coins that are good to look at. And like Cardano, XRP, these are, even Solana, these are good, these are blue chip coins. I don't know, Solana, blockchain turned off like 10 times this year. I don't know, so I don't know. But, CRO, BNB, these are still some good coins to get, and you can get them cheap nowadays compared to where they could go, and definitely where they were. But, you could even maybe Shiba Inu, maybe I don't know. You could though. You could. Doge, I would just really stay away from Doge. I really, really would. But maybe it'll do well. I don't know. But anyway, regardless, you want to look at the big coins that you really couldn't afford getting a whole bunch of last bull run. You want to try to get as much of it as you can this year. This year, you are stocking up on coin. A lot of coin, as much as you can get. Penny pinch, sell stuff you got around the house, do some extra jobs, hustle, make some extra sales. If you got a business, sell your product, sell your service, for cheap or low for some people who you just want to help out. Take that money and throw it into coin. Do some cheap stuff that you could throw into coin. And at least that's, I'm not a financial advisor. Excuse me, I'm not. But that's what I would do if I was you, based on my experience, having been through, coming up on my third bull run, right? That's what I would do, man. This is the year. This is the time right now. Hustle. I mean, look, me, man, I buy all the time. I buy Bitcoin at 70K. I buy it at 30. I buy it at 10. I buy it at 17. I buy it whenever I want to buy it. Whenever I got some extra cash, man, I throw it in the crib. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm betting on the future of money not existing the way it does today. And we're really looking at a lot of news where a lot of major players, a lot of governments are doing the same thing. And so, we could talk about the potential gains. There's going to be potential gains. If you're watching this video right now and it's 2022, keep in mind you're ahead of like 95% of the entire world. Used to be like 98%. Used to be 99%. And you're still ahead of 95% of the world, okay? Of the world. So you got to think, if 50% of the world jumps on board, which I don't know, it could happen, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But let's say 50% of the world jumps on board, you're talking about a market that will 10x from where it's from. If 75 come in, then you're talking about another 17x, 18x from where it is today. You got to think, man. You got to think. What will that do to your coin and the price that you bought it? What will it do to the price to buy it at that time? You know what I mean? These are the things you got to think about. Regardless, you got to find something. If it's not coin, bro, you got to find something. This stuff is going down the drain. This financial system, this system of economics, business, it has to change. It cannot be the same the way it is today. What are we going to? CBDCs? I'm going to do another video on that. But nah, bro. If you think, remember, CBDCs are one-to-one currencies. That means that, $1 is worth one CBDC, and it'll never go up in price or go down in price, because it's meant to just be a stable coin, a government-backed, government-issued stablecoin. So to think that you're going to buy that and it's going to make money, you just don't understand the mechanics of how this stuff works. It doesn't work like that. You will not make money. But Bitcoin, because it's not a CBDC, there's a finite supply of it. Nobody controls it. It's unconfiscatable. You cannot take it from somebody. Okay? That's the power. You know, you got to consider that in Ecuador, what's it called? There are people who were not able to participate in the global market because they could not get a bank account, you know? And you're talking about more than half the country was unable to get a bank account. And so Nayib Bukele, the president of Ecuador, of El Salvador, sorry, not Ecuador, El Salvador, dude. Why was I saying Ecuador? What was I doing? Anyways, El Salvador, he saw that and he said, you know what? I was looking at this Bitcoin thing. Jack Mallers was staying in the country, and Jack Mallers was signing up 20,000 people a day to his exchange to start using Bitcoin, to his wallet to start using Bitcoin. The president found out about it, and he was like, hey, let me talk to you about this stuff. And then when they discovered that they could do online commerce without needing a bank account, without needing an ID, a passport, or anything, he said, I want to adopt this for my people. In 60 days, the amount of people with Bitcoin wallets in the country, the amount of citizens with Bitcoin wallets in the country surpassed the amount of people with bank accounts in the country, right? And that's when the IMF started to come down. Najib, can we talk to you, please? You're doing this Bitcoin thing for your citizens, and we don't think that's a very good idea. But prior to that, when half the country didn't have any bank account, they weren't knocking at it. They were going, Najib, we need to get more of your people engaged in global commerce and online commerce. We need to give them the ability to save money and store money and send and receive money. They weren't doing all that. You know, kind of lets you know what the deal is. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, that's my 2 cents. That's just me. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. I could be dumb, but I could be right. You know what I'm saying? And you got to ask those same things about yourself, about whatever you think. You got to do your due diligence. You got to learn, study, really know what you're getting into. And, you know, I'll see you soon. Do another video about CBDCs. But yeah, love you. Be safe. Peace.